Get your coffee and join me this morning with Jesse Bishop at Georgia Highlands College GHC Coffee Break.
Hi, may I please have an application? Thank you.
Skip the drama. Get your diploma.
Okay.
Take that first step towards a better future. Find free adult education classes at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome to GHC Coffee Break. Hope you had a chance to get your coffee. I know I'm enjoying mine. I want to welcome you, Jesse. Friend, colleague, master of all kinds of things. But today I've invited you on the show. And I didn't say your title because I know I will mess it up. So this is Jesse Bishop.
I am the director for the Center of Excellence in Teaching and Learning.
Say that fast 5 times. Director of Teaching and Excellence.
Director of the Center for Teaching and Excellence. Center.
See that?
See, now I've stumbled. Director of the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning.
There you go.
So you can call us the CETL.
The CETL.
The CETL, yeah, CETL.
Okay. I knew I would mess it up, but at least it's not just me. It's a mouthful.
It is indeed.
So let's tell people what this really means.
So in the center, we're focused on helping faculty, supporting them in their development as we try to improve our student learning outcomes and the overall GHC experience for both students and faculty.
Okay, so what kind of things does this entail?
Well, we do a lot of workshops. We do, for new faculty, a program called Faculty Academy. They come and spend a few Fridays with me and a couple of other folks, and we really try to help them get acclimated to the GHC culture. We teach them about GHC. We talk a lot about teaching and learning and some of the struggles that we might face, the struggles that veteran faculty have faced, and what we can do to head those things off. We talk about how to plan for their careers at GHC, what they might want to think about doing, how to get involved. You know, sometimes we hire in folks who are not local to the area, and so this is a way to help them meet their new colleagues, meet some senior colleagues, and also just kind of get acclimated to our various campus cultures. So that's Faculty Academy. We also do a lot of, or we're planning a lot of workshops for veteran faculty, mid-career and senior faculty, to bring them in and really find out what it is they've done that works and how we can replicate that so that we can improve the student experience.
Yeah, I know. Well, I've been here for 20 years, 21 technically. I started out as a part-time in January of '96, and so that just doesn't seem right. And I was a former student, so for me, Georgia Highlands, it's my family home. I spend as much time actually here as I do at home with my family. So, you know, to hear that there's a lot of initiatives, which the Faculty Academy is great. I think, like you said, it's I know they work with advising. And I think the reason why I want our community to know this is because I really do, and I believed it in 1983 when I was a student. Georgia Highlands College is a quality education, and Georgia Highlands College's faculty and staff are truly dedicated to the empowerment of our students at Georgia Highlands.
For sure. One thing that I've noticed in going to conferences over the years is that I'll go and listen to speakers talk about things that these really big colleges with really big budgets are doing, and I start thinking about the folks I know at GHC and what they're doing in their classrooms and outside of their classrooms, and we're on par. We're doing all the right things. What we want to do now is try to get that message out and really highlight what those good things are that our faculty are doing, and then get folks together, because you know, sometimes with our varied campuses and varied departments, we sort of get siloed, right? I mean, that's a sort of a new higher ed buzzword these days, but we get partitioned off in our own little pockets. You know, I'm an English faculty member, so maybe I only talk to my English colleagues. And one thing we know is that with good teaching, we've got to share those practices across the board. The same way that we've got to share those practices not just with faculty, but we've got to talk about our advising. You mentioned advising a moment ago. We've got to talk about our tutors. We've got to talk about our new student and retention programs. And so the CEDL is part of a new academic collaborative for excellence that's housed under Dr. Watterson, our Vice President for Academic Affairs, that includes Jennifer Hicks, who is the Director of the Academic Success Center that includes advising and tutoring, and Crystal Edenfield, who is the Director or Program Manager of new student and retention programs. So the three of us kept showing up at different meetings together, and Dr. Watterson said, you know, why don't the four of us have a conversation? And that led to the development of this new initiative, the ACE, Academic Collaborative for Excellence. And we're focused on supporting and developing students and faculty. So Jennifer's programs, advising and tutoring and early warning program, are focused on supporting students from an academic angle. Crystal's programs are focused on traditional student development, right? How do we treat the whole student and not just that academic side? And then with my piece, the faculty development piece, we're focused on supporting and developing folks and helping them really connect to the GHC community, which makes a big difference, you know, from being here and being a student, that the faculty members who are engaged in the college and the community really seem to make a difference when you're taking those courses and helping those folks get acclimated, the students get acclimated and be successful. And that's really what we're after with these new programs.
And like I said, going back to the 80s, when I was here as a student, yeah, I'm older than you are by far, just a little bit. But the camaraderie, we didn't have 5 campuses, and I know that makes a difference. But now this is back when you could actually smoke in classrooms. I know that sounds so funny.
I've seen pictures.
You've seen pictures.
I've seen pictures.
We've got historical evidence. But the, you know, faculty and staff and students hung out together and smoked cigarettes, which we prefer coffee. but the idea, I think, is good to still have, that we hang out and have coffee and just conversations with the students and faculty. I know we've done a couple of initiatives in the past, both off campus and tied in with One Book, One Voice, which is a really good program, I think, that, you know, really ties in high school, the community, the higher education institutions in this area. And we've also done on a small scale here at Highlands. And I think that really, to me, knowing my teacher when I was a student and knowing that teacher cared enough and empowered me. My teachers did not say, you know, let me do this for you. Here, drink this coffee. They was like, here's a cup. Go get your coffee.
Right.
You know, empowering them to do what they can do.
Sure, and that's one of the exciting things about this new initiative with Crystal and Jennifer, is that for the first time formally, we've got all of these pieces talking to one another and talking about ways to engage students both inside and outside of the classroom, to teach them both inside and outside of the classroom. So, you know, we really, if you think about advising and tutoring as instruction in some capacity, this is a chance to take some of that instruction out of the classroom, and not content specific, course specific instruction,
Right.
but college sort of, you know, how to be successful in college instruction. And so having Crystal and Jennifer at a table along with me, we can now sort of get that broad coverage and start to plan some of those activities. One of the things that we're looking at for this spring is piloting some faculty learning communities around a few different books. So we'll be sending out information to the faculty about that to get some book studies going. And those books are geared toward, you know, they're academic, but they're geared toward really reaching students and better understanding their experiences and how we can take our own experiences. You know, you're a former GHC student, I am a GHC student, to take those experiences and share those with students and explain to them, you can do this, you belong here, and help them, like you said, really empower them to be successful.
Right, because I was in I was a non-traditional student in the 80s. So coming here, and I remember making a C in my first class, and I thought, okay, it's true. I'm not college material. I shouldn't be here. Luckily, Dr. Cook, Jim Cook, was my history professor, and I did it in a summer. Again, starting in summers, kind of, oh, but he was like, no, this is a hard course. You put 10 weeks back then, quarter system, in 4 weeks. He said, don't quit. All he would have had to do, Jesse, is say, yeah, you should have done better in this class, and yeah, maybe you're right, that maybe this is not the place. Unfortunately, I've heard, not here, but in other places, and I've experienced it in other places, that happened. And, basically, well, if you didn't know this learn this in high school, you sure are not college. So, to transition from empowering, because he empowered me to say, I can do this. Because I was an average student in high school. And, that's power. I'm sorry, I really get on my soapbox because this to me is so powerful and it's so internalized for me.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things about some of the new opportunities with this initiative. I think about how great our faculty members are, and I too have heard those horror stories, thankfully, from other places.
Right.
We have some phenomenal faculty members here that really care about their students, and not just care about them, in terms of how well they succeed in the classroom, but care about them outside of the classroom as well.
As a person.
And really, again, going back to that notion of supporting and developing the whole student is really what we're after. And this is an opportunity to try to formalize some of those conversations, and help folks who maybe don't have those experiences or don't know how to do those things, to get them in a room with other faculty members and staff members who really understand student development and understand good, sound pedagogical practices, to get them engaged and help support them as they develop and continue to develop our students.
And I'm excited. You already got me thinking. My wheels are turning. Okay, what kind of learning communities? What kind of books? I love books. One that my class in human service participated in last year, I think it was, or 2 years ago, The Alchemist. Mm-hmm. Because The Alchemist is not a educational book, but yet it's an educational book. It's the journey. And if anybody has not read The Alchemist, you need to get it. I'm not kidding. Have you read it?
I have several times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not one you read one time. Every time I read it, I literally have underlines in different colors of pen, so I know this is this reading, this is different reading. Yeah. Because it's that journey. And to me, education and what we do at Georgia Highlands, and that's part of the journey.
Sure. Yeah, and The Alchemist is one of my favorite books, and one that I am eager to start reading with my own children. But getting people in a room together to talk about a book, whether it's The Alchemist, whether it's, we've got a couple of other books. One of them is Carol Dweck's Mindset, which is really geared toward talking about a growth mindset and how we can help our students who come in and maybe feel like they're not college material, to help them understand that that's not fixed. You can change that if you don't feel like you're a quality college student right now. Let's talk about how you start to reimagine yourself and reinvent yourself in that way. So that's one of the books that we've got, and we've got a couple of others that target some other things. But they're good books. They're as an academic, they're kind of fun books. They help me think about what I'm doing in the classroom and what my colleagues are doing in the classroom, and how I can help them and how they can help me. And ultimately, we're all focused on getting those students through that journey and being those different, helping those students navigate those different experiences that might be challenging, and convincing them that they do belong here and they can do this, and really helping them figure out where they're headed.
And I think getting the students' perspective too on it, like you said, the learning communities learning is not, to me, just me talking to you about what our subject area is. It's you and I conversing to learn. A lot of our students bring in a wealth of knowledge they don't even realize they have.
Yeah,
and helping them capitalize on that. Jesse, we only have a couple more seconds in this segment. Time flies when we're having fun, right? So go get your coffee, and we'll be right back with GHC Coffee Break.
college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals.
with opportunities outside of the classroom.
where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits to a bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college offers courses that fit my schedule.
It's where excellence begins.
We are.
We are.
We are
We are GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to GHC Coffee Break. Jesse, I really appreciate you being here. And, you know, we've been doing GHC Coffee Break for a few years now. I don't even remember when we started, to be quite frank. I do remember we started out in the spot, what was called the spa now, over in on the Floyd campus. But one of the things that I'm just going to throw out there to you guys, we have been doing this a long time, and I would really love to hear from you out in our community what you would like to know about. If there is a guest or if there's a subject you would like to talk about, you can email me at sclaxton@highlands, now that's with an S, .edu. So if you can think of something you would like to know about, I would love to integrate additional conversations for the community. So Jesse, I had to just put that in. It reminded me that, you know, we have been here doing this for a while, and I know you've actually been a guest on a different subject with me before. So, and I appreciate that you were willing to take your time out of the day to come and talk to me and the community about what GHC is doing, what we're doing as a faculty and staff, and what we really want to see the students accomplish.
Yeah, I think I appreciate the opportunity to come and be on the show and to talk about these things. You know, helping the community understand, quite honestly, just how awesome our faculty are is really important to me. You know, in some ways, kicking off the CEDL, the new center, there have been a lot of questions about what we're going to be doing, and sometimes people think that faculty development comes from a deficiency model, that we need this because our faculty aren't good enough, and that's actually the opposite case. You know, we're not doing this because our faculty aren't good enough. We're doing this because our faculty are awesome, and we need to start to organize some of that awesomeness and make sure that we're telling the right story and getting that out into the community, but also, again, breaking down some of those divisional and departmental and even campus-wide walls that just sort of pop up through happenstance at different campuses. You know, in the fall, I taught at Cartersville and Douglasville. We had a situation where I had to step back into the classroom for a bit. That was really helpful for me to go back on the road like that, and to remember that, you know, we have folks who are spending an awful lot of time in their cars driving to and from campuses, and that's time that they're not engaging with students, that they're not engaging with their course material, and you know, while they may be thinking through things, we've got to start thinking about ways that we can support those folks and get those folks. You know, you mentioned earlier that sense of community. How do we facilitate that on our multiple campuses? And that's something I haven't quite cracked yet, but we're actively working on it and trying to facilitate these conversations at different places.
And I have to say, I mean, as far as one of the things I would like to commend Don Green, our president, on, is that he is trying to have these small community conversations with the faculty and the staff, and saying, okay, what questions do you have? What do you want to see? And with students as well. So I think that's a great step forward. And you are right. It doesn't mean a deficiency when we say staff or professional development. Right. It's not a matter of deficiencies. It's a matter of how can I do what I'm doing well and do more or do better. And I think in most part, at least from my perspective of what I see of my colleagues, whom I'm very proud to call colleagues. I can remember Dr. Christy Kemper being my teacher and my, you know, my 6 Mile Post mentor, and now she's a colleague and a friend, you know, and to have that is just beyond amazing. And I think we do a good job especially on our individual campuses. Now it's like broadening it, like you said, making those learning communities bigger.
Sure, and I'm really fortunate in the CEDL. to work with Katie Bridges, who's in Cartersville.
Oh, she's amazing.
And so while I spend a majority of my time at the Floyd campus, Katie's in Cartersville and is constantly helping folks. And you know, the demand for her assistance there is really great. And you know, some of that's technical stuff.
Yes.
Folks are asking questions about technologies, but a lot of it's just having a conversation about teaching and learning. And I think sometimes we get really busy because we are shuffling from campus to campus or committee to committee or class to class. And we don't have maybe as many of those conversations as we used to. And so that's one of the things that I really want to try to focus on is that aspect of faculty support, right? How do we support those conversations and encourage them and get folks, you know, around the proverbial water cooler to have those chats again. And Katie's been great at helping to facilitate some of that in Cartersville, and we're hoping to take some of that to other campuses as well.
And it is challenging. For me, I have about a 45-minute drive, actually to any of the three of the campuses. If I go to Douglasville, because where I'm located physically living, Douglasville to Paulding and to here. I'm literally roughly 45 to 50 minutes, depending on traffic, on any given day. And, you know, a lot of times I won't even have my radio on because it's just too much stimulation in the traffic and stuff. So if I could come up with some really good ways, and in the past I've used books on tape and stuff, but something that would facilitate, I don't know, conversation or something with during that 45 minutes, an hour and a half a day.
Yeah, you know, we have a lot of students who have long commutes.
Yeah, longer
as well.
commutes than that.
Yeah, so 45 minutes, an hour, you know, an hour and a half in some cases, depending on where they're driving from and what traffic is like, especially as students on that I-75 corridor. Sometimes they have the shortest commute.
But the longest.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So one thing that I did when I was in college, I kept a micro cassette recorder, and now most smartphones have a voice memo app embedded in them. So I tell students, you know, just turn on your voice memo app and talk through your papers, talk through the ideas that you have.
Great
and I
idea.
found myself last fall driving back and forth to Douglasville. You know, sometimes I'd be able to call a colleague, and you know, I'd be able to call Katie and say, hey, let me talk through this idea. But in other cases, it's just me talking to myself and trying to get the ideas out of my head and onto some other type of medium so that I can go back and listen to it again and then really start to process, you know, what is it I'm after here? What is it that I really want to rework in this particular classroom? Especially on those days where I've had a tough classroom day, something that's always worked suddenly doesn't work. How do I recover from that? What do I do? And that's where I think it's especially important to be able to talk to our colleagues, you know, because it might be a senior colleague who's got some advice, but it might be a you know, brand new person to the institution who's got this really innovative way of doing something. But you know, I think by nature, faculty are innovators because we encounter these problems in the classrooms, and so we're constantly looking for those solutions. And you know, talking to yourself in the car and recording it is just one of those possible solutions.
Well, and see, things like that to me are great, just little great tidbits of information. You know, maybe we need to compile a book of little tips and tricks because that is really a good idea. I think I will definitely utilize that myself because there's a lot of times when I leave a classroom and I go, that just didn't seem to go as well. I've done this for 20 years and I love new ideas. I love getting to visit other faculty's classrooms and stuff. I wish we could do that more often because I learned something.
Right. Yeah, I sort of joke that I went into this field because I love stealing other people's teaching ideas.
Oh, I like that.
And that's really ultimately what faculty development is. It's about being able to identify those good practices, those promising strategies, and then to build on those. And so that's one of the things that I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to pull off. You know, and our colleagues have tons. You have tons of little tips and tricks. And so, like you said, just you know, collecting those and starting to tell those stories about how we handled those negative experiences, those challenging days, can be really helpful, not only for the new folks, but also for, you know, the mid-career folks like me and the senior folks who've been here for, you know, a minute or two.
Yeah. And I think for students, they could do the same kind of thing. You know, again, since we are doing this for the community, not just for Georgia Highlands faculty and staff to view, hopefully we have those viewers too, But as a community, why it's important to know this, because we want their kids and their grandkids to come check out Georgia Highlands. It has a lot of potential of just exploding, but also so that our students, potential or current students, can begin to use their own voice.
Sure. Yeah, and I know that's one thing that Jennifer and Crystal are really focused on with this new initiative, and they've been working on independently for the last good while now about, you know, how to get students to share out some of their success stories. Crystal and I yesterday afternoon were just talking about a specific student and talking about ways to maybe get him to share his story. You know, a student who maybe didn't seem like he was on the right path, and something happened and we're not quite sure what, but all of a sudden, you know, this brand new student shows up one day and is just really engaged and is now doing amazing things around campus and academically. You know, so getting students who've been in those situations to tell that story the same way that, you know, for faculty members to say, you know, I was having this difficult time with this thing and this helped, to get those students to share that out with one another, I think is really important. And I'm excited to see what Crystal and Jennifer are going to do on that front.
I am really excited too. Again, like I said, this is, and for somebody like me, the one that's been around for 20 years, and I tell them they're going to probably have to kick me out, I'll be on my walker going, okay, class, because I do love my job. But I think it's just having these conversations and letting our community know what we're really doing. Again, we only have a couple minutes left. I want to remind people, you know, we've been doing this show for a while. I would welcome ideas, guests, people in the community, things that you would like to know about, that we can provide you with that information. That's what we're here for. You know, it's yes, we're here for Georgia Highlands, we're here for our colleagues and students, but we're here for the community to let them know not only what's going on at Georgia Highlands, but what's going on in our area as well. So Jesse, that's one, and I know that you're very involved, I think, in Rome, International, RIF?
Yes, Rome International Film Festival.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I'm on the board for RIF and active in some of their planning. And we actually have a few other folks who are associated with Highlands.
Exactly.
Who are involved in those things.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what this is about. It's about our communities coming together and what can we do to help each other. It does take a village. And we've got to get out of this, oh, it's me. It's a village. So remember, if you would like to provide me with an idea for the show, sclaxton@highlands.edu. And that's Highlands with an S. Get your coffee and we'll be right back.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are the #1 killer of children 1 through 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Thank you for joining us on GHC Coffee Break. Thank you, Jesse. And like one sentence, less than 30 seconds, what is your biggest hope for this year?
That we'll all be a little nicer to one another.
I like that. And I think that will make it a big difference, not only in the lives of our students, faculty, and staff, but in our community as well. Until next time on GHC Coffee Break, I hope you have a wonderful day and night. And I will see you. Don't forget, S. Claxton, SCLAXTON, at Highlands, HINDS.LANDS.edu. See, I've got all flustered. Susan Claxton at highlands.edu. Until next time on GHC Coffee Break.